1,
2,
3,
4.
Monster movie.
Fun time, go! Monster movie.
Fun time, go. Monster.
Movie.
Fun time.
Go!
Monster movie. Fun time, go.
With Precious D and Honeybee.
Fun time, go!
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, friends and neighbors, welcome to Monster Movie Fun Time Go. 31 Days of Horror. Oops, all werewolves. This is day number 16. And joining me today is my very own sister, Adelita Lopez. Welcome back to the show, Lita.
Fun time, go! Hi. Happy to be here again, as always.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Today's werewolf movie is Cursed from 2005. Directed by Wes Craven, written by Kevin Williamson. It is 97 minutes. The uncut version is 99 minutes. It's in color. The budget was 75 plus million. It says here also estimated at close to 90 to 100 million. And the box office. Yeah. The box office 25.1 to 29.6 million.
Kerplunk. Ouchie, ouch, ouch.
This comes off of
that is kind of
Wikipedia,
not.
and it says here that it took over originally planned for 2003. The film took over 2 more years to be made than originally planned. So that's probably some of the budget there is just running costs for delays and shit.
Yeah.
Yes, Bob and Harvey Weinstein kept asking for reshoots and changes to the plot and re-edited the movie to give it a PG-13 rating rather than the original.
Oh, shocking!
That's they
surprising.
Fired,
I would have thought they would ask for nudity, but interesting. Okay.
They might have thought they could sell more tickets. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Considering who it is, but I think that was a ticket thing. And they fired veteran makeup artist Rick Baker to replace the werewolves he had created with computer-generated ones. Rick Baker did American Werewolf in London and a bunch of other stuff. We mentioned him and this situation on our American Werewolf in London episode. So, I'm thinking that they were going for a target audience of teenagers, which is why they wanted a PG-13 rating.
Sure.
But I feel like if you're making a horror movie, you should be willing to go R if that's where it leads.
Yeah. Yeah, because, yes, if you're going to go for it, just go for it. That's interesting, because I feel like this film didn't really go for the gusto in any way, so.
Well, let me get to the cast before we get too much further.
Okay.
Our cast
Okay.
is Christina Ricci as Ellie Myers.
Yay!
Jesse Eisenberg as Jimmy Myers. Joshua Jackson as Jake Taylor. Judy Greer as Joni. Milo Ventimiglia as Bo. Christina Anapu as Brooke. Portia de as Zella. I was just embarking on my annual Scream marathon rewatch series.
Right.
Rewatch, whatever you wanna call it. And Joshua Jackson and Portia de are both in Scream 2. Shannon Elizabeth as Becky Morton, who has not yet been in any Scream movies. Maya, one name girl, Maya, with an accent over the Y, as Jenny Tate. Michael Rosenbaum, Lex Luthor from Smallville and The Flash from the Justice League, as Kyle. That's the animated Justice League, folks. Eric Layden as Louis. Michelle Krusik as Nosebleed Coworker. Nick Offerman in an early
Yes.
role as police officer.
Yeah.
Derek
was
Mears
fun.
as werewolf. I guess Derek did some filming before they replaced him with CGI.
Yeah.
Scott Baio as himself, Craig Kilborn as himself, Lance Bass as himself, Bowling for Soup as themselves, and Solar as Zipper, Ellie and Jimmy's dog.
Mm.
That is our very 2005 cast, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes, David, my partner, watched it with me, and he had fun pointing out that there were 2 Lex Luthors in that film.
Oh, right, because
Yeah.
well, I had tried to put one of them out of my mind, out of my head, but yes, that is true. There are 2 Lex Luthors in this movie.
Yeah.
Oh, Judas Priest. God, I'm not going to go on that tangent.
Let's go. Let's not go.
Resist that tangent. So
Okay, well, we'll just say apparently
movie,
you have a preferred Lex Luthor. You have a
I
preferred
do.
Lex
Luthor. Out of those
in
2,
this.
yes. Yes.
Gotcha.
Yes. Definitely.
Yeah.
And I think
the other one looks
general,
more like what you imagine Lex Luthor to look like anyway. Eisenberg was never great casting.
No. No. And I don't know if since we're on a podcast, I'm going to plug a celebrities podcast who doesn't need it. Michael Rosenbaum and Tom Welling have a Smallville rewatch podcast called Talkville. I'm behind, but I was following along with that. They call it Talkville because Small Talk was already taken.
Of course.
But now that I think about it, he might be my favorite Lex Luthor. I certainly prefer him to I'm not Michael Cera, Jesse Eisenberg.
All right. Well, let's get in.
One of those guys is the poor man's other guy, but I'm not sure which is which.
Okay. All right. Well, that's maybe a discussion for another day as well.
So it seemed to me this movie was trying to do for werewolf movies what Scream did for slasher movies. That seems.
I guess I'm just gonna say it was no Scream. It was no Scream.
No.
Nowhere near Scream, and I'm shocked that those 2 creators made this film because it was just kind of overall bland. Yeah, let's say bland.
The thing is, I very much see these attempts though at doing Scream, but it doesn't surprise me that there was studio interference.
Sure. Yeah.
But I actually like this movie. I've seen this a few times. I mean, I own it. Folks, if you want to watch it and you don't want to pay for it, it is on Paramount Plus, and if you want to pay for it even less, it is on Pluto. And I believe Paramount actually owns Pluto.
Probably. It seemed like there was a crossover. I looked at it on both, and I didn't want to watch the ads, so I did watch it on Paramount.
Right. Well, I noticed that Pluto's got some Star Trek on it and stuff, so I think and some Big Brother's on Pluto now. So
I just want to say it's kind of a big deal for you to say that you like something because it's not Josie and the Pussycats. So I'm a little bit in shock at the moment. I need to kind of process that.
Well, I think if you've been watching as many werewolf movies as I have, you might appreciate this one more. Because I've certainly seen much worse ones.
I have some basic questions, but maybe we'll get into it a little bit later. But just about, we can go ahead and do it now, I guess. Werewolf lore, and I'm not that versed in it. But this seemed to be the first time. It seemed to take a very vampiric stance as far as how a werewolf is created and then destroyed. Is that common in werewolf lore?
In general, if you get bitten by a werewolf and don't if you get, it doesn't necessarily even have to be bitten. It could be scratched. But if you get attacked by a werewolf and you don't die, then you get infected and become a werewolf. You get cursed.
Sure.
That's pretty standard.
Okay, that part seems standard, but then it was I don't know if I want to jump ahead into the ending, but how they were able to defeat the curse. Okay, so then it came down to well, we have to kill the original werewolf to then lift the curse from us, but that seems very much like a vampire thing rather than a werewolf thing. And you reversed. Are there other films that
you do
reverse
see that in both?
the?
Yes,
Okay,
sometimes
okay.
I've seen it in both werewolves and vampires. Usually you have to do it before you've taken a human life yourself.
Yeah.
So this is, for the folks who've been listening all month, I've come up with 3 broad categories that most werewolf movies fit into. And this is a type 1. This is a type 1 with a little bit of type 2. Type 1 is...
Can you... Yes, let me know what are the
quickly.
different types. Okay.
Type 1 is some poor schmuck gets bit by a werewolf and then has to deal with that situation. And usually, but not always, ends up dead at the end. This is an exception. This is one where they survive. But they often end up dead at the end. Type 2 is there is a werewolf among us, and we have to figure out who it is. And there are often elements of both of those that the poor schmuck has to figure out who it was that turned him into a werewolf. Sometimes the wolf bites you and then just goes away, and the original wolf or gets killed right away, and you don't deal with the original wolf at all.
Yeah.
But sometimes you gotta, like in this one where you're gonna try and cure yourself, you gotta find out who it is. And then type 3 is the secret lives of werewolves, where there's a whole werewolf society with a bunch of dumb rules, and we get introduced to it and learn all the ins and outs of it.
Okay.
And then so those are the main, not every film fits in those categories, but a lot of them do. So this is a type 1 with a little bit of type 2.
Gotcha.
So spoilers, there's 2 werewolves. Well, there's 4. There's 2 people that are being turned into werewolves.
Yeah.
So that's a little different. She and her brother both, Christina Ricci and Jesse Eisenberg, both get bit. Also, something that came up when we were doing our episode on Bad Moon, there's a fight between a werewolf and a dog. And we were speculating on, well, what happens if a dog gets bit by a werewolf? And in this movie, that happens, and it does affect the dog. The dog becomes more wolf-like.
But that also was not... It was... Dog bit him.
That's true.
So that doesn't seem like that should work.
Well, if it's an infection, then I guess the bite can go either direction.
I don't know. I feel like that's pushing it.
But yes, the dog bit Jesse Eisenberg enough. It was a really light nip, but it was enough to pass the curse to the dog, which became more wolf-like.
I didn't buy that one.
So that was the thing. But it turns out that Judy Greer is Joshua Jackson's the main werewolf. He accidentally turned Judy Greer, and she's going around. Joshua Jackson is kind of a ladies' man, and everybody wants him. And you can weigh in on that in a minute. And Judy Greer's trying to get rid of her competition.
Yeah.
So she's actually the one that attacked. So she kills Shannon Elizabeth in the beginning.
Yeah.
And then her friend later, which I didn't put together. I feel like when I watched this before, I didn't really put together that they were, Shannon Elizabeth, but the other one, that they were the 2 girls at the beginning that are talking to Portia de Rossi.
Yeah.
Their fortunes told.
Yeah.
That they're talking about Joshua Jackson, the guy that they're talking about.
Right.
They want to know from the fortune teller whether or not this guy's any good, or what's going on with that. And
Yeah.
they're talking about Joshua Jackson, but I don't know if I ever
Right.
caught that before, and I'm not sure that I caught that her friend is the same girl that we then see at a party later on.
Yeah, part of it, I feel like it was very far apart in the timeline. Like that happened so early in the film.
Right.
Forget about it. And then, okay, Portia de Rossi was totally underused and wasted. If you're gonna do if you're gonna have Portia de Rossi, if you're gonna have a fortune teller character, a real psychic who really has a gift, can they be part of the actual film and not just it was wasted. It was totally useless. She either needed to be more integral or not there at all. Like it just didn't add much of anything.
Right.
I was so excited to see Portia in the cast because I love her and I feel like she doesn't work enough, or I just haven't seen her in enough. And then she was just like barely there, and that was disappointing and frustrating. Like I feel like there were some elements of the writing. Maybe again it was the studio interference that things just got a little disjointed and lazy.
I am curious though, now that I realize that she was in Scream 2, how much of her being in it was just the casting director, or how much of it was either Wes or Kevin going, you know who I want to work with again? Portia de Rossi. Let's get her in.
Is it the same casting director?
Oh, I don't know. They usually don't list that on Wikipedia. So I'm just saying it could be just a total. It could be a complete coincidence, or it could have been that either Kevin or Wes specifically requested her.
Right.
So,
I'm sure if I worked with Portia de Rossi, I would want to work with her again as well. She just seems cool, and she's talented and funny and beautiful. So, yeah.
This is a bit of a tangent, but as I said, I was watching Scream 2 today, and the best line in the whole movie is when they show up at the party and Portia de Rossi says, "Hi." No, I mean that. Hi. Just so fucking ridiculous. She's a sorority chick, and she's no, I really mean that. Hi.
That's funny.
Like, what do you think?
Okay, so I'm looking. I'm looking at the casting director. Okay, go on. If you want to summarize the plot or whatever, and I will.
Well, we usually with these we keep these ones a little shorter, so we don't go through the entire plot. We just kind of talk about what we liked and what we didn't like, and our thoughts and feelings.
Okay.
I do want to say about the werewolf that it does seem like there is still some practical effects mixed in with the CGI.
Yeah. It's interesting. Stuff. The first one, the first time we see the werewolf, I think it is the practical werewolf, and I thought it was honestly a little cheesy, and not great. So maybe that he may be a veteran makeup person, but maybe that's why they fired him or changed their plan.
I don't know, but I do notice that his name's in the opening credits, which the makeup guy doesn't necessarily.
Yeah, because it does appear. Yeah.
So I guess I don't know if that was part of his contract or they still used enough of it that they thought they needed. I don't know what the rules are about that, but it stood out to me as I was watching it, and then to find out later that he was fired, it's just it's weird.
Did you notice that? I mean, what did you think of when you first saw the werewolf? Did it feel like a good one in comparison to the others that you're seeing right now? Was it impactful,
okay.
or was it?
Some of them are really bad. It's pretty good.
Sure.
And I've certainly seen a much worse CGI. The one in American Werewolf in Paris, they're all CGI and they're terrible. So as far as CGI, especially from 2005 goes, it's pretty good. It's decent design. I don't think there's anything especially innovative about it. There was something here on Wikipedia about.
Yeah. Okay, just as I'm looking, just to go back to a second to the casting director, there is one
Uh-huh.
crossover. So Lisa Beach did work as casting director on both Cursed and Scream 2.
Okay.
So
All right.
shout out to the casting directors, unsung heroes of the
Yeah.
industry.
Yep.
They really are. Casting, can make or break a film. Really can. Or anything at TV, whatever. Casting is really important.
Yeah.
So okay. So all right. Well, then let me summarize things that I liked. I think Judy
Okay.
Greer was the best part of the film because she's also wonderful. I love her in anything.
Okay.
Um, I her performance was one of the best parts. Her character, however, was one of the worst parts, and I really hated the female on female misogyny and the "if I can't have him, no one can" message is
Right.
really, even for 2005, that should be an outdated model, and did not um did not care for that as a motive. Um but I did like her. What else did I like? Well, another thing I did not love. I feel like it was not Christina Ricci's best performance. She had one great
Okay.
moment. Best moment was when I wish there'd been a little more of this and a little more leaning into humor. And she comes into the office and then she's like, "What's that smell? What smells so good?" And then she's walking down the hall sniffing, and she's all like, she's doing a great performance there because she's being all wolf like and sniffing the air. That was a funny moment, and that was her best moment, I thought, in the film. But she just seemed to be, David again commented from the beginning. He was like, "Why is she acting so bad?" It she was he Like, it
Okay.
just was not her best performance. There's a lot of unnecessary
Okay.
head bobbing and
Oh.
also I don't know, just like not really didn't feel it. Like it was kind of like I'm just saying words. Not I'm in this relationship with her and Joshua Jackson also was made no sense. First he's like, "No, I don't want you," and then, "Oh, I can't live without you." There was no real chemistry. There was nothing really that I didn't care if they were together or not. Like there was a lot that felt underwritten as far as all the characters really were just kind of generic, and the relationships were not really that strong.
Okay. So, are you buying the premise at all that Joshua Jackson is worth killing for? That he's
No.
the guy that all the
No.
ladies in town want to be with?
No, not at all.
Just
And
not
it's
in
not I
not
don't
in this movie or not ever. I don't know how much of
not
his
in
other.
this movie. And it's not just he lacked charisma. And you don't
Mhm.
have to be like, I don't think, personally, I don't find him particularly attractive. He's not unattractive. But he's not one of the kinds of people that I'm like, "Whoa," um about, but maybe he's somebody's type. But anybody can be
I mean,
attractive if they've just got that, you know, oomph, that charisma, and like a sexiness. There was nothing really sexy about him. And again, it might have been the writing. But he just didn't, yeah, I didn't see the appeal in any way. I didn't quite understand what his job was. This opening, like he was the club owner or he was
club
a
owner.
promoter, like the
Yeah.
whole club thing
I believe he
wasn't
I believe he owns the club.
wasn't all that clear. Her job, Christina Ricci's job, wasn't all that clear. Um, I don't know. I guess that's neither here nor there. But no, he would not have been my first choice in casting. Sorry, Lisa Beach. Um, in the guy that everyone wants piece of. No. Sorry.
I believe Christina Ricci's job was booking person for the Craig Kilborn show.
Yeah.
I thought the theme of the club was a little sort of all over the place. Except
Yeah.
maybe the theme was just, but I think maybe the theme was just wax museum. At first, I thought the theme was horror, but it seemed like it was more of a general wax museum theme. So it reminded me of Casa Bonita, that they're like, it seemed like there were different little areas, which you also get in a wax museum, you know.
Yeah.
So there were different little areas of the club with different little sub themes. My favorite part of the movie was just the replica cane from the Wolfman that he had on display.
Sure. Yeah.
I mentioned in that episode where we covered that movie that you can purchase such a replica for between $300 and $400, and I totally want it. But I can't justify that expenditure. I wish it had been a little more important, though. I wish they use it to interfere with one of the werewolves at one point, but I think I would have liked it if it had actually killed one of the werewolves.
What, the replica thing?
Yeah. Yeah.
That would have been cool, yeah.
Since they made a point, it was kind of Chekhov's Wolfman cane replica. But, sure. Yeah, they shoved it in the werewolf's mouth at one point, and it did hurt her, but it didn't. Didn't kill him. I think in this kill them for, was this the one where you had to separate the brain from the heart to really kill it? Silver hurts it, but to really kill it, you got to separate the brain from the heart.
Yeah, or shoot him in the head, which ended up doing.
Well, that would yes, because they was like, oh, the brain's all over the floor now, so I guess that counts as separating it from the heart.
Yeah. The whole Milo Ventimiglia subplot was also like, I don't know, a little predictable in a way, or a little cliche. It was so obnoxious, when he was just being the bully early on and like, oh, you're so gay. It's like, ugh, another, wow, this is really disgusting behavior that is outdated and I hate it. And then, but he's just homophobic because he's secretly gay and he hates himself. Right. Like, it just, I don't know, it felt trite.
The thing about that whole thing that bugged me was that Jesse Eisenberg he gets the girl at the end without having earned it at all.
Say that again, without what?
Concerned. Without having earned it, at least from her perspective. She doesn't know any of this shit that's gone on. He didn't rescue her from the werewolf. It's just that basically her boyfriend went and told her, hey, it turns out I'm gay, so if you were actually interested in that other dude, I'll give you a ride over there. Yeah. And look, it's his dog. Let's grab his dog while we're on the way, because he's running around loose. And it just jumps straight to, here's a kiss without any,
Exactly. And why? Okay.
It just escalated really quickly.
Yes. And why would he be interested in this girl anyway? Because if she's with the bully asshole, what does that say about her character? Because she just kept excusing his behavior. Like, bully, stop, or whatever his name. I don't remember the character's name, but like, just ignore him. Well, why don't you ignore him, lady? Why don't you bounce and find another guy that's not a jerk to the whole school? Hello? Like, I didn't care for her.
We don't see at all the other side of him. I mean, we see it eventually with Jesse Eisenberg, but we're not shown what she sees in him. What has he done to impress her? What has he done to make her excuse this behavior? So there should be something that we see about him that makes us go, oh, okay, that's why she
and the same interesting with Joshua Jackson. We don't see anything about him that gives any of the women reason to chase after him. We don't. There's nothing he doesn't treat Christina Ricci very well at the beginning, and then she's like, "Leave me alone," and then he won't leave her alone. So
Right.
he's kind of stalkery
Yeah, we don't
too.
see him.
Um,
We don't see him being Mr. Charming, or
yeah,
Mr. Thoughtful, or
yeah,
whatever. You know, we don't see
yeah.
him being clever or
So again,
talented.
under
He's just organizing a club being opening.
yeah. Oh, that's not even necessarily at doesn't take a great amount of talent or skill or vision even. I guess he sort of had vision with the club, but again, the club was like a little what is the theme? So yeah, we don't really see either of these guys why the women would be interested in them. So again, underwritten characters and underwritten motives. So
Right.
disappointed Kevin Williamson. I expect more, but whatever.
And what about Scott Baio?
I forgot about Scott Baio. Yes. That
He
was
gets
just
bounced
weird and
for
random.
Carrot Top. He gets
I
bounced
know.
for
Oh
Carrot
my
Top.
god. That was
Who we don't see.
sad.
We don't see Carrot Top.
We never
They
saw
got Scott
Carrot
Baio
Top,
for the
no.
movie, but we didn't get Carrot Top.
It was funny because we were wondering, was it written as Scott Baio or was it just written insert B-list celebrity that we can get? Like who?
Probably. They might have written. It could have gone either way. He might have said Scott Baio, and they're like, "Yeah, I think we can get Scott Baio, sure."
Yeah, yeah. He was funny. It was just funny to see him, but he's kind of a nutter butter these days. So
Yeah, him and Kevin Silva can go fuck themselves.
right. What else? I mean, it was an entertaining, it was a fun, 90 minutes of my life. It was entertaining. Would I watch it again?
So there's no Rockula.
No, it was no Rockula. I don't think I would watch it again. Are we doing ratings?
Yes, we're using a moon phase scale. So
Okay.
it's
Okay.
new, quarter, half, 3/4, or full.
Okay, so full being the best.
Full would be 5 stars.
Okay. I would say a quarter.
A quarter.
A quarter to a half moon. A quarter to a half moon.
Okay.
Because I don't think I would watch it again. And there wasn't anything that I was just like, oh my god, I love that. It was enjoyable. It wasn't the worst thing I've ever seen, but it wasn't amazing either. So
Right.
yeah.
I'm going to give it a half moon. I like it. I've watched it before.
Okay.
I'll probably watch
Okay.
it again at some point in my life. I enjoy it. I like Christina Ricci. I didn't think she was that bad. No, it's not her best performance, but it's still Christina Ricci.
Yeah, I do. I love Christina Ricci, especially recently with Yellow Jackets. Her performance in that is one of my favorite things ever.
I haven't seen it yet. I haven't seen it yet.
Oh,
Most
you watch
recent
it.
thing I
First
saw her in
season
was-
is
was
amazing.
Wednesday.
Oh yeah. Second season has some issues, but I love her in it.
Right.
And I just felt like this was kind of just like I wonder if she got bored, if they had to do reshoots and whatnot. I wonder if she just got bored. It just kind of felt like a phoned in performance. Like I just didn't feel like she was really invested in it. I mean, and that's
Right.
because maybe again the character just wasn't really that interesting.
Right.
So
It just seemed like because of this period and the fact it's a horror movie, it just seemed very much, hey, I know what, let's get Christina Ricci. It was just
Right.
a very 2005 thing to do.
right.
Um,
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Oh, I know what I was gonna. Scott Baio made me think of. This is completely unrelated to what we're doing and what we're talking about in our topic. But have you seen this Pauly Shore thing that's going around? This idea.
Oh, Pauly
he's-
Shore as
that he's jumped
Richard
on?
Simmons.
Yes, Yes. So somebody
I think
posted a
that's
meme.
hmm
Some folks, if you haven't seen it, someone posted a meme saying that someone will write a Richard Simmons biopic and cast Pauly Shore, and Pauly Shore will win an Oscar. And Pauly Shore, who apparently knows Richard Simmons,
Oh.
is like, yes. And he's like, well, I've reached out to Richard. Richard and I are playing phone tag, but I've reached out to him. And apparently Richard has said, hey, Pauly, I love you and your mom. So I guess he knows his mom. But I'm just going to pass on this for now. But now Pauly, I think, wants to like just shoot a little, sort of like a demo or something to send it to him to see if that might, get him over the hump of it. I'm here for it. I'm behind it. I'm not in general.
I think it'd
Pauly
be
Shore fan.
delightful.
I
Yeah.
just think the fact that two of his Encino Man co-stars have won Oscars. Let's give Pauly the opportunity to get one
Right.
by doing something
Right.
unexpected from
Yeah.
him. Apparently, though, people have said for years that he kind of looks like Richard Simmons. So,
I mean, you wouldn't think it, and then you see them side by side, and you're like, oh my God,
Yeah.
yes, that's
yeah,
perfect.
it's
Yeah.
enough that you would cast him as Richard Simmons, certainly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not
for
enough
sure.
that you would mistake him for Richard Simmons, but yeah, sure, you would cast him.
Right. Right.
So, yeah, I'm
Yeah.
not at all to do
You could
with
cast him easily.
topic
He
of the
doesn't
day.
need any prosthetics or anything. He
Yeah.
could just
No.
just do the hair up a little bit. Yeah.
Put him in
I'd
some
love to
shorts
see
and
Richard
tank top.
Simmons
You're
get back
right, you're
out
good to
in
go.
the world. He's been a
Yeah.
recluse for years now, and there
Right.
was a couple years ago, people were like, "Is he okay? What's going on? No one's
Right.
seen him." Well, there was a hullabaloo.
Yeah, I remember all that. Well, I guess
Um,
it sounds like from what Polly's saying that he's fine.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah,
He just
so
doesn't. I
I'm
guess he
behind
just
this.
doesn't want attention anymore. He wants to be out of the
Yeah.
spotlight, so maybe he just doesn't want that focus on him. But I think that'd be delightful. And Richard Simmons is a national treasure, so we should all honor him and support him. Yeah,
Pauly Shore could become a national treasure by playing Richard Simmons.
sure. His mom is Mitzi Shore, who owned and operated one of the comedy clubs. I can't remember if it was Laugh Factory or the Comedy Store. But
Okay.
there's the whole. So all the comedians know Polly's mom, so that's why.
So he might
Richard
know
love
he
you.
might know her apart from just being Polly's mom. He might know her.
He would
just
know her
from
professionally,
doing
probably.
celebrity and-
Yeah,
I see.
Yeah.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
yeah.
It's always a little weird sometimes when you find out about celebrities who know each other and are friends, but you haven't seen them work together at all or anything, and you're just like,
Right. Yeah.
How did they meet? What is that about?
Yeah.
Why is Pauly Shore friends with Richard Simmons?
Right.
All right. Well, that's gonna
Okay.
wrap
I
it
guess
up for
that's
the
it.
Richard Simmons podcast for today.
Oh
join us
man, that would
next
be a
time
good
when
movie
we
though.
talk
Richard
about the-
Simmons. No, wait. Richard Simmons as a werewolf. That's a movie I want to see.
There you go.
Yes.
I was gonna say, join us next time when we discuss the Bob Ross biopic.
There is one, or there's a movie that's kind of
No,
loosely.
One of the-
There
oh,
are definitely
Owen Wilson-
documentaries and yeah.
Owen Wilson seems to be playing someone who's not Bob Ross, but is very much Bob
Right.
Ross.
Right.
I don't know any more about it than that.
There's a great Bob Ross documentary though that you should check out. He actually was
Okay.
far more interesting than you would think. I don't remember what it's called, but you could just Google Bob Ross documentary.
Okay.
All
Uh,
right. Okay then. I guess we're done.
all right. Lita, where
beware
can
of
the
full
folks find you on
moons.
the internet?
Find me on Instagram or Facebook at I am Lita Lopez. I've got a YouTube channel. My YouTube handle is at Lita Lopez.
Okay.
And I am Lita Lopez pretty much everywhere else. And that's about it, I guess.
Well, we'll do a guest profile for you on the website and put the links to all of that
Okay.
stuff.
Cool. Awesome.
Well, thanks, my sister, for joining me once again.
You're welcome, my brother. Thank you for having me.
We'll be back tomorrow with another werewolf movie. Until then, I have been Precious D. Remember to keep calm and take shelter in basements. Do not misuse science. We will not see you, but you will hear us next time on Monster Movie Fun Time Go. You've been listening to Monster Movie Fun Time Go. If you enjoyed the show, please rate and review us on your podcasting platform of choice. Our theme song is by the Texacato folk rock punk featuring Lita Lopez. You can support the show, find links to our social media, and even leave us a voice message at anchor.fm/MNFTG.
Fun time go!